Whoa. Market vitals and levels you need to triage the market. HFR from the Matrix. Mistrade not back yet. Mistrade ain't back, but those Detroit Lions sure are back.
Hey, they were up on the board last night, Sunday Night Football, in contention for the wild card.
You know, I'm
hard to believe, but they're only 2 games behind the Giants, who are the 3rd team right now. So,
Matt, listen, we got to talk transfer portal, mostly because I wish there was a way. Honestly, I do wish there was a way that Justin Fields could enter the transfer portal and go somewhere else.
Well, maybe.
And you know what? I got to tell a hard push on Jimmy Urio trying to tell everybody that Aaron Rodgers is done and that Justin Fields is better than him.
Okay.
Justin Fields cannot hit. First of all, he can't go 3 progression. Forget about that. Like
he can barely go 2.
And then like you got to hit the guy in stride. Hit the guy in stride, and please stop throwing it to the other guy. That would help too. But anyway, Matt, that's not it. But DJ here from Clemson, you're telling me he's the starter, the starter, and he's going to enter the transfer. Unbelievable the disruption that this transfer portal is shaking out to be.
Yeah, and they only have 40 days this time of year to enter it. So like that day was today. And, so last night everybody was announcing whether they're staying or going. And it's a lot of disruption.
All right, let's speculate.
For me, the biggest part of the thing is going to be Deion Sanders. Like, how many 5-stars does he pick up right away? Who wouldn't want to go to Boulder? It's a nice place in the mountains. Great stadium, great setting. They've sucked for 12 years.
Right on. I mean, we jabbered on this on the way in. Like primetime, he's got to be a fantastic salesman with young, especially with young black men.
And he's
got to be great.
His quarterback is his son, by the way. I don't know if you've seen his numbers. His son has 3,700 yards this year already, and only like 36 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions. So I want to see his son come into, Pac-12 and just eat him up. I want to see it.
Well, listen, Matt, defense wins championships. And
but,
so
it'll be. And Neon is a defender, so it'll be
exactly
to see what he does.
Yeah, you got to lock it down, baby.
Geez, I mean, he got like something like $30 million for 5 years with all kinds of escalators on the number of wins and bowl games, which I love. I love giving a guy 150 a game for each extra win over 5 or whatever it is they set out the first year. I mean, the team hasn't won in like 2 years, so why not? It's a great contract. So I'm excited.
And then you said there is mass exodus at Washington and Stanford.
No, not Washington.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin, and it's because of coaching. Wisconsin's got Luke Fickell coming in from Cincinnati, so all the guys that are there are going, we're out because he's going to bring in his guys. So like if you had your position, this is kind of what sucks. Like if you're a player and you were, second string linebacker and he's bringing in his linebacker, you're done. Like, so you better go in the portal real fast.
Right.
Because otherwise you got to make all new relationships anyways.
Right. I'm sure that's one of the things that they did not expect.
Well, Stanford, David Shaw, after how many years he was there, probably since Harbaugh, and he had a good run, but they've sucked the last half decade or so. And so he's gone. And 8 of the Stanford, upperclassmen starters were like, we're out of here. So, it's a good time. Like if you have some holes in your defense, I know Michigan has plenty. There was a, the whole Texas A&M team is basically departing because they were fighting all year in the locker room amongst themselves. So that whole squad's getting broken up. It's fascinating, like the drama that goes on, and you used to have to deal with it internally. Now,
Matt, I thought elites were trusting each other more and more. and these are athletic elites, and
Right.
apparently that's not the case.
Right.
Matt, speaking of not the case, we got a new segment. We're debuting it today. A new segment, Matt, and it's called Absolute Horse. No, it's not called Absolute Horse. The world is so upside down, Matt, that it's called Absolute Horse Shit. This is a new store that we will be frequenting on a daily basis to bring you stories that are off the shelf from this fine establishment. Absolute horse shit. We've talked about it before that it's the age of irony, right? It's the age of horse shit. It's those two things equal each other. And the first one, when I was looking for some content today to bring out absolute horse shit, you shared this. German euthanasia clinics will require a COVID vaccination for people assisted suicide. This cannot be true. This world is, it can't be true. Excuse me, I want to kill myself.
Maybe they should just give them the COVID shot.
That exactly what you don't know. The Paul Harvey's, the rest of the story is what they do is just give you jab number 17 here, and that does it for you. I mean, I'm looking for content, and it's just everywhere. Absolute horseshit off the shelf. And then the next one, Matt. Let this sink in. Tracy Shygirl shares, just a reminder that Martha Stewart was jailed for trading 4,000 shares of a biotech stock. Yet SBF.
And you remember, and do you remember how big that news was? Like,
my God,
it was 2000. All CNBC did every day was talk about Martha Stewart. You know, she was insider trading. It was like every day it was the story.
And it was like a notional of what, like 300 grand, something like that.
Yeah, it was 4,000 shares of what was that? You know, I'm Clone. Remember that IMCL? That name was total scam. But anyways, and then
full scam.
It was. No, that's why she sold. She sold because she got the word that the bad news was coming, so she sold her shares.
Right, and so she saved post news like 300 grand.
She saved like whatever. She saved, like you said, 300 grand. It went to zero. The stock was a total bust. But she had dinner with the CEO and he told her. So that's what it was.
It's beyond belief. It's beyond belief. Anyway, not quite absolute horseshit, but contending also, because we got to get to price discovery, and this is price discovery here. We will. Kanye says Elon Musk is half Chinese. Does that make him African Chinese American? And that him and former President Barack Obama are genetic hybrids. Elon teasing everybody with his Neuralink told him to buy Twitter, that it was the best thing to do for humanity. There's a lot to unpack here, but let's just move on the unpacking. Two, Matt, it's interesting here with Elon, and not just, it's not just horse shit. It's that he's got a deal in China, right?
Mm-hmm.
And much more so, and we've talked about how Apple has said they want to pull completely out of China. He's just basically getting started in China with his manufacturing. If you look at the arc of manufacturing, right? It's a giant. And Tesla cuts D's Model Y output at Shanghai plant by over 20% versus November, sources. Did the sources also say that was just, hey, let's cut, output, or was it because of the fiasco that continues to go on there all over the country with COVID rioting, anti-lockdown rioting, and maybe workers don't show up. So we're not cutting output. We can't meet our output. I don't know. There's a lot to digest there, but we do have price discovery available. So let's talk Tesla, because it has price discovery. You can actually buy or sell the story with Tesla.
Yeah, you can. But again, I want to give some kind of more color on this before we look at Tesla, because I think the whole car industry is in trouble. And this was just out today. Unit sales again fell in November. and we were looking at around 6.5% overall. But when you look at the majority, which is trucks, right, which is business, which is people going to work and doing jobs and getting shit done, these numbers are scary, Bob. I mean, they're down another what are they down 8.1% again, and just month over month. So that's from October to November, we dropped another 8%. So help your local car dealer, walk into them and see if you can't help them out, because apparently there's nobody buying anything on the car lots anymore.
We talked about this coming in.
We had that spike, right? Remember when we had that huge spike?
Uh-huh.
Look at that. And now we've fallen all the way back down, and we're almost at, we're not quite, but we're getting to the top of those levels that we saw in 2010, and nobody's talking about it. So that's a harsh fall down, right? And we weren't even as big as we were with the car stuff going on with the mortgage stuff in 05 and 06. That was that peak there. And then that came all the way down to, around 7 million annualized. And, now we're at right around 14. But again, this is not a pretty looking chart. I wouldn't be buying this chart. So I would be careful with overall the car business here, Bob. But let me bring up, since you want
And again, Matt, on that chart, no reason why we can't go see the COVID lows in car sales.
Yeah, no reason we can't, if not lower. And the Mets just signed Justin Verlander, for all you Verlander fans. So that just got done. So he is going to New York. He and Kate are going to New York. Tesla 314 down here to 184. Again, 190 is kind of my recent line in the sand here, and that is not looking pretty. Once it was above 190 there for most of last week. Now we're back below it, but we're right in value. We're not really going anywhere here. But again, you have to respect, I think this name still will go to the COVID low. And I think the COVID low is, where is it? Back here at like $25, Bob. Think about that. But that's that's like 80%. And the valuation on this thing is still 581 billion. So 80% of that would take you down to about 60 billion. That's probably about what it's worth in actual like revenues, et cetera, today. But who knows? Again, this is everybody's darling, everybody's favorite. I don't know how the guy does anything. He tweets all day. I don't know how he does SpaceX, boring.
What's more confusing, him getting anything done or Joe Biden getting anything done?
I mean, the amount of tweeting that goes on POTUS's account and Tesla's account are amazing.
Are you saying that it might be absolute horseshit?
I think it might be absolute horseshit.
Absolute horseshit.
Yeah. So
all right,
that's not looking good. Ford, we always look at Ford, and again, every time this thing rallies, you should be selling it because they're not going to be posting good numbers. So,
well, Matt, let me continue on my thread with the light truck sales too.
Yep.
In the housing boom, every electrician that thought his boss was an ass bought his own truck, started doing his own work. There was plenty of work to go around.
Right.
Like, in this town, if you could find somebody to answer a phone, it was amazing.
Right.
For that height. And so now you have all of those trucks that were bought by all of those trades guys and gals that now, as the housing busts, they have no way to pay those truck payments.
Right.
No way to do it. And so not only is new truck sales, you're going to see a flood of used trucks, and I'm talking only a year or two old, that usually they would keep for 10 years, right? In a normal situation. There's just a lot of that that's going to go on.
Well, and you're even seeing in the rental car market, right? So travel business, they had this dropped considerably this morning. This is Avis Budget. We've talked about this name a lot in the past. It was just 220 on Friday. Now it's all the way down. So this is down 10% today in one day, just based on that type of information. That's basically, which again, this is, we're just beginning to see some of these things show up. So you can't avoid all this stuff just by not talking about it. And, I think across the board here, whether it's Tesla, whether it's Ford, whether it's GM, and all the battery makers in between, and, and then look at that story I sent you, on the pollution going on over the weekend in China because of the the mining that is going on for the battery components for the EVs. It's just the destruction of true. You want to look at pollution and the destruction of environment that's going on in China. Let's point there. Let's not look at the pollution in the US that's only gotten better, as we've discussed, since the teardrop ads of
the
Native,
Italian American,
the Italian Native American.
Exactly. At this also, we're gonna play pile on today on, and we both think that the chart looks fairly friendly for the U.S. equities, but we're gonna play pile on why the chart might not be matching what is coming down the pike. This 40%, right? Chris Borod, I guess. Manufacturing orders from China down 40% in unrelenting demand collapse via CNBC. These things, you just, I mean, that is just staggering. That is staggering. A 40% drop in orders. That's no bueno. And let me share, because I had this thread that I had not seen this before, Matt, and it's from, hold on a second. Bear with me. Chicago, bear with me. My Twitter feed, Matt, Michael, CFA, and he pointed out two things here. This is the only time in history where treasuries have lost more than stocks in a top 20 drawdown for stocks. Usually people fly to treasuries, Matt, in a sell-off. And we talked about this probably a year ago. Like, where is the flight to quality, or where's the flight to safety into U.S. Treasury? Nothing has saved the treasuries, nothing whatsoever. And the other one that he talked about that I had not tracked or ever heard of tracking was lumber relative to gold because of the link to housing. And we talked lumber a lot, but we've never talked this analogy. But we have talked ad nauseum how the housing correction is in full swing. What else do you want to pile on here as far as why the chart, even though it looks friendly, and maybe let's just look at the chart. Let's just look at the chart, and I can jump to the weekly where I was talking about on this, because we're actually getting close here on my weekly momentum level. But if you want to take it away, take it away.
A chart for what? I don't have that chart of lumber over gold.
No, neither do I, and I don't really care about it, other than it's his talking about its relationship to housing. Like, yeah, when lumber goes severely inverted to gold, goodbye housing. You know what?
Well, let's just look at lumber, because I was actually looking at it over the weekend. I hadn't looked at it in a while, and some builder friend was talking about it, and actually I was like, oh, okay. So we've been kind of hanging around here for a while at this level, and 400 has been that level. And we're, again, we're up a little bit today, but this thing's getting stressed again. And I think, I think this thing's going to trade back to the COVID lows. Imagine that. And that's 250. And that's this lower end right here. So again, this froth is working its way off from 250 to 1700, back to 1338 after going down to 450. And now we're sitting almost in balance, but not quite. Balance is down here at like 350. So, lumber is not looking, there's no demand. Again, when you strip out all the demand, and nobody's walking into housing right now. Inventory is building, the buyer strike is on, and the seller strike is on. So we're at an impasse where nothing's transacting unless you're a fool and you want to pay full price. And there's a few of those people, always are, that trickle out and have more money, so they don't care, and they're paying cash, so they don't care. So certain things will transact. I'm not saying there's not anything happening, but there's not a chase. There's no chase going on, and there's no equity left in your. Matter of fact, I read just this morning, 8.2% of mortgages that were printed, new mortgages here in 2022, are already underwater. That's amazing. In 11 months, we're already 8.2% underwater, or 8.2% of the new mortgages that have been written this year. So I think that's significant, Bob. And when you look at, again, just the overall real estate market, IYR is the one I like to look at. we've talked about this. It gets these bounces, and we're going through one right now where we just bounced up to around 90, and again, now we've pulled back a little bit today, 87.58. But this, I just don't see us going too much further in here. So I think
exactly. How could it possibly? How is everything just going to shake out fine from here? I mean,
right.
Enjoy your Christmas. That's what my mantra is: enjoy your Christmas, because 2023 might not be so bueno.
Right. Yeah. I mean, politics, the chaos that's happening there, both, Brazil, United States, Europe, etc., China. I mean, there's a lot of things moving, a lot of, Middle East is a mess. And yeah, enjoy your holidays, because I don't think it's going to be too quiet for too long.
All right, man. Let me share another absolute horse shit, and this is going to be from a share basis. I really like this absolute horse shit. I got to tell you, I'm being honest here. Matt, you were talking about strike. First of all, the New York Times now, their employees threatening to strike this week. This was from the 3rd, so it was next week then. Now it's this week now. Anyway, that's not that confusing to follow. What is confusing to me, Matt, is the backstory here. New York Times, I don't think you could argue with me that it is a fairly left-leaning, liberal, pro-Democratic Party agenda.
I mean, they were pro-Stalin.
Rag.
Well, so
I mean, you'd think they'd be you'd think they'd be for, like, livable wages, great health care, these type of things. And apparently 1,000 of their employees are saying we don't make a livable wage in New York City, and we don't have good health care. The irony of it is staggering. It's staggering. The greatest cheerleader from the left treating its own like the pieces of shit that they cheerlead against everybody else. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Now, we do have price discovery on it, and I got the here, before I jump down to them. Weekly S&Ps 4,000. If this thing really wants to run to the end of the year, it really should hold 4,000. That momentum level should be respected, and we should take off today, the rest of the day, tomorrow, or and turn this candle green. We need to make a higher high minimum this week for me to think that we could run to the end of the year. If it doesn't, I think we just play ping pong here for the rest of the year. Just,
I mean, it's again, weekly closes matter. That 40-30 number, we're below 40-30 now in the SPOOs, but the weekly number matters always before a daily. And we're not closed yet today, but if we were to close today, we're below that 40-30 level. And the SPOOs are trading right now 40-11. So
they're trading the yo.
Yeah, 40-11, and they're down. And yeah, it's not, again, we're testing the lows from Friday, the jobs numbers, and the dollar is higher again here. So again, I think a lot of people didn't sell before those jobs numbers, so they got that, they ran it back up on Friday, and now they're all short again. So that's how sometimes the insiders are able to do that for a day or two when there's really late volume. They just go, you know what, we're going to bid it up today because there was no more offers. All those offers have been lifted. So that's what kind of happened. It felt like a very mechanical Friday to me. And then from that point, we're just waiting. 39.60, 39.90 are levels on the SPOOs below too. So 39.60 is more my real line in the sand, Bob. But if we close the week out below 40.30, it's not, I think there's a potential to see, even before the end of the year, maybe a move to 3,800. So if we can't close back above 40.30, there's not a lot of, we got PPI this week, and then we got, next week's the Fed. So there's not a lot that's going to drive this market news wise, unless it's, shocking news, brand new news. The market.
Well, Matt, for us to get brand new news with CBS, we got to wait for 2 years, and then we'll get the brand new news.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of how it's, or 4 or 5 if it's Hunter Biden, because that was 2017. So.
All right. Again, 4,000, the weekly momentum.
But it was good to see Hunter at the Kennedy Center awarding more liberals, more dramatic, artistic awards. That was great to see. George Clooney, Gladys Knight, yada, yada. Joe Biden now talking. Joe Biden this morning talking, by the way, how we all need to come together. I'm so glad he's so positive now. So
Matt, so New York Times, I want you to bring this up because this we had a semi argument before we came in about, New York Times and mainstream media, right? And all of these places have gotten less eyeball, well, especially mainstream media like network news, TV news. Those numbers are ridiculously small compared to what they used to be.
Yeah.
The New York Times still has its audience.
One of the companies laying off tons of people, CNN, last week was all the news, right? They're laying off 20% of their staff and anchors and their junk and writers, So
what do you think? I think this is a great short opportunity in the New York Times.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, if this thing, like the weekly, if it can't hold this momentum level, but just terrible activity since these 2 weeks were ridiculous.
Well, I think the Twitter news is hurting them because, again, people are hungry for truth. They are hungry for truth, and since the journalists, so-called journalists, don't want to provide it with their papers because they have different agendas, well, I don't think you can really say that, basically all we did is came back to this breakdown line, which was from January, right? Which was right here around 37. So we came right back to that, which is kind of close here to the top of profile for the last year. And, we might be able to get up to 41 or something, that 42, but I don't know. Yeah, to me, this looks like a good short area. Again, 1% dividend. So they pay something out. Not my favorite name to trade, but yeah, it looks fine. It's just, what are you going to get? It trades in a $10 range from this 27 to 36. So personally, we can talk about it, but I wouldn't waste my time. There's not enough alpha in something like this for me to be interested. But yeah, if you like the slow and steady short, there might be something there.
Right on. All right. What else you want to cover here?
College football, we got the Final Four has been set for the college football fans, and the Big Ten wins with two teams getting in. Michigan dominated Purdue, although that Purdue walk-on was fantastic. I really liked watching that kid for Saturday. He played a good game, really a perfect game in the first half, and they were only down 1 point. But Michigan did the usual, which is just slap you in the face, and pound you in the second half again. And the running game looked strong. Donovan Edwards had another.
Edwards, his speed is just like.
He's NFL ready already. I just hope he sticks around for a few more years, because I think he has to, because he's only a sophomore, but he's got one more year. It's going to be good. Georgia looks to be the best team in my book. They'll play Ohio State. Ohio State's, Ryan Day's got a chip on his shoulder watching his interviews over the weekend, and he should, because his boys. In my opinion, if you lose at home to your counterpart Michigan by 3 touchdowns, you shouldn't be in the college playoff. If that happened to Michigan, there's no way we would be in. But again, and then Kurt Herbstreit's talking about how there's like a conspiracy against Ohio State. I'm like, dude, you've been in the finals like 3 of the last 4 years. Stop it. Like, you guys are like Alabama. Ridiculous.
Well, they did a great job of allowing airtime for Nick Saban to. Yeah. The beautiful thing is, at 12 teams, there will be nobody will give a shit about the 13th team that didn't get in.
Well, but in that situation, like all 6 conferences, I think get, their top team in, and then it's a battle for, second and third place teams after that. So the SEC is always going to have a couple, Big Ten should probably have a couple in most of those. And then ACC sometimes will, ACC this year doesn't even deserve one team, because they, the teams that were in the final championship game both lost to get into the championship game. So what kind of championship game, no wonder.
I'm just saying there's no argument with 12.
No wonder the Clemson quarterback's in the portal. He's got to go.
You got to go. You got to go.
Yeah.
You got to go. Use guys got to go.
The Chinese stocks have been on fire, Bob. We could talk about that a little bit, because all the talk now is about, the lockdowns. COVID lockdowns are over in China now. That last week they were going through the roof. Now they're over.
So all the white suits are going to get put away. That's
apparently the actors in the white suits swabbing and beating people with boards is coming to an end. And this, but again, nobody's talking about this. These things have had a huge rally, almost doubled. Here's JD, which is a large Chinese traded company. Let's look at
Matt. To clarify, are these available for U.S. citizens?
Yeah, these are all traded on the U.S. These are all NASDAQ,
Right,
and yeah, I don't everything pretty much we talk about here, unless we notate it, is pretty much U.S. based. And this is Baidu. Baidu went from 73 all the way up here, hit 121, up another 5 today. Again, these names are going through the roof. So I was looking at this game maker, BILI. This thing has been, I've been trading this over the last week or two because it's had a very nice trend up. This has gone from, a low here of, or was it 12 all the way up to 23, again, doubled in 4 or 5 days. So the froth is coming back on in some of these markets. And,
well, to be honest, too, they had gotten just crushed.
They've gotten schmeezed for sure. Yeah. So again, even in a bear market, there are bullish stocks to trade. And this is, the Chinese market, or the Chinese names have been one of these areas that have done extremely well over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I just wanted to point that out. And if you have been fortunate enough to be on some of these, please take profits. Please take profits.
Nothing horseshit about taking profits.
Right.
Nothing.
So the Chinese names have been in play. And again, if you missed it, you probably missed the easy part of the move already. So if you're like, oh, wow, I should buy some Chinese stocks, maybe not. Again, when they buy them when they hate them, Right. Don't buy them when they start
blood
talking.
In the street. That's when
because now although the analysts who are promoting them to you need their trade desk to sell, so they need buyers to come in. So now they'll start talking about you and giving them buys, and you might have some more upside, but not the meat that these things have seen of late. So again, be careful chasing.
All right, Matt. That's what we got. Who do we got Monday Night Football tonight?
I think we got Tom Brady and the Saints. It's an NFC battle of the West with nobody over 500 in that
right
battle.
And somebody's going to make the playoffs under 500 from that division.
Not only will they make the playoffs, they host.
Right, exactly.
So what could happen? What could happen, Bob, is say Tampa Bay wins the division with 7. What would they have to be? There's 17 games, so 8-9. They're 8-9. They're 5-6 now. Let's just say they finished 3-3. Kind of play the way they've been playing, and Dallas continues to destroy, and Philly continues to destroy. Guess what? Philly's got a 2-game lead still on Dallas, so Dallas would be a wild card with, let's just say, like a 12-5 record.
And playing an 8-9, right on.
Going on the road to Tampa Bay to play Tom Brady in a playoff game. I mean, it's not easy. It's not fair either, but those are the rules.
All right, Matt. I'm about to have a coughing fit here.
Okay.
You have a great day. Thank you for joining us. Please visit marketvitals.io. Join the community.
You didn't want to talk about your mosh pit on Friday night.
Well, Matt, I'm working on editing. I gotta edit that together. Make mosh pit great again. Matt, it's amazing. People.
But the great thing about a mosh pit is when you have a mosh pit with women in it too, it's a little weird.
Well, let's just. Mosh pits are like soccer versus rugby. Rugby is a hooligan sport played by gentlemen, and soccer is a gentleman's sport played by hooligans. A mosh pit is it's a hooligan dance environment with, if it's done right, danced by gentlemen. Like you're not the idea is not to kill somebody out there,
right?
And when bad actors start showing up in the mosh pit generally turns on them and kills the fucking bad actor. And it was a genteel mosh pit, and it was a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun. It was not absolute horse shit. It was great. I think I got the HIV in the pit though. Anyway, thank you, Matt. Go to Amazon.com and buy some Shrimp Mojo, please. And we'll be back tomorrow for another segment of Market Vitals. That's what we got. That is what we got. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Bob.